Sup world, season 5 is here, and I know I skipped over doing a rapid fire video in season 4. I just really wasn't the biggest fan of the lob mechanic and all the issues that came along with it. Now, with the much bigger AoE impact and repeating actually working correctly this time around, I'm back on board to provide you Rangers a rapid fire guide you've come to expect over the seasons. This rapid fire guide is absolutely nuts. The burst potential is out of this world. I'm one-shotting T8 horde mobs without min-max gear with less than 20,000 health. Unlike any other build that shies away from Aether Lord boons because, they're too hard to kill for what they're worth, rapid fire doesn't care at all. Aether Lords, bring it. We welcome some challenges in these hordes. Notice how I said some, because it's a 2 or 3 shot anyways at the end of the day with good gear. New to this season, we have the option to go Heartseeker as our generator of choice, which gives us the ability to play long range and take fundamental arrow passive for an additional 15% crit damage multiplier, making this a strong option to take over the traditional puncture basic attack. It's also what allows me to play in T8 hordes with less than 20,000 health. Lilith, tormented bosses, Helltide, pits, you could do it all with rapid fire. But as usual, rapid fire is not an easy build to play well. But if you take the time to master the ins and outs and work on your skill shots, it's one of the most satisfying builds to play on the road, especially for those true bow rogue fans. So let's talk about skills real quick. So I take Heartseeker because I like playing range. I really don't like getting hit, nor do I like evading into the enemy. I like to evade around or away from the enemy, so I get hit obviously less, so I can be more offensively geared and do more damage. So I typically tend to like Heartseeker, but of course you can do puncture and do faster rotations if that's what you would like to do. But do Heartseeker, come all the way down here, and then you take your fundamental Heartseeker. And this one is pretty big because in the past we usually had to use primary Heartseeker to kind of get the extra hits for precision and things. But now that we have the Sky Hunter and we can actually get multiple projectiles now, fundamental Heartseeker can actually do the 3-to-1 and also the 2-to-1 ratio for this particular build. So you get the 15% critical strike damage multiplier, which is awesome because it means you hit hard. It also works well in groups too because it's a debuff, so it also affects and helps your friends out in groups as well. So this is a really cool arrow to have to take. Then you come down here. Obviously you take rapid fire, come down to advanced rapid fire for the 30% multiplier whenever you evade. You do take sturdy, even though if you are going the Heartseeker route, you're going to be in what Blizzard considers close range, which is really mid-range, and you'll get that damage reduction here too as well. You take Siphoning Strike for the same exact reason, because technically speaking you're in mid-range for this to be able to work, so being able to heal really efficiently is important. Come down here, Caltraps is mostly a given here. You take this. I like to do the methodical Caltraps. I don't think you really need the crit chance here. Usually you can proc your precision really easily without taking it. If you have problems with it, you can kind of go this route. Then we come down here. Unstable elixirs is really very important. Big damage passive. Trick attacks is the most important passive here. Get as many ranks as you possibly can. It also double dips with precision. I'm pretty sure it's a bug, so it just deals massive damage. You want as many ranks to this as possible. We take dash obviously for mobility. We come down here to get our charges so we can move around more often. We do take weapon mastery for, well, just more damage. Come down here, max out Dark Shroud. You will take countering Dark Shroud, so therefore we can make sure we have enough crit chance to be able to proc out precision. If you have reached that threshold, you can go with subverting Dark Shroud for more life whenever you lose a Dark Shroud. We do take Smoke Grenade. Smoke Grenade gives you 25% multiplicative damage whenever you hit them. We also take this passive because we want to reduce the cooldown on Smoke Grenades so we can, well, do it more. Then you come down, we take Exploit. Again, just multiplicative damage. Malice, same thing, multiplicative damage. Down here, Cold Imbuement, it's a must. When we come all the way down here to take Mixed Cold Imbuement, the 20% multiplier, which turns into a 40% multiplier whenever they are frozen. And also, for those who are wondering, well, how do we get vulnerable in this particular build? It is because of enhanced cold imbuement. So we have a chance to make enemies vulnerable, 40% chance, and it's really good. When you're using cold clip, which affects your heart seeker, make your heart seeker cold, then it pretty much uses cold imbuement. So this enhanced cold imbuement gets applied to your heart seeker, therefore your heart seeker can make enemies vulnerable along with your rapid fire. So you always have vulnerable uptime no matter what without needing to do anything. Then we come down here to frigid finesse. Again, massive damage, please take it. Then we come to innervation. We don't really necessarily need the energy. Sky Hunter kind of covers all that, but we take that 1 point, come all the way up to second wind, which is probably the second most important passive out behind trick attacks. And this is what's going to keep you alive and be able to do things you're normally not going to be able to do. So you want to max this out. Also get ranks on this on your pants. We'll talk about that later. But having this barrier up by spending energy all the time, since we're going through rotations pretty quickly, you kind of have your barrier up a good bit of the time, and it really saves your life. You really want this key passive. And this is the key passive that makes it all work. Basically, we stack 4 stacks of precision, but we can do that with a 3-to-1 ratio with the Sky Hunter, or 2-to-1 ratio, whichever one you choose to do. And we deal big damage here. We always crit whenever we do proc the precision key passive here, and crit damage scales really nicely with it, as you can see. And we just pretty much get crit damage on every piece of gear that we possibly can to scale this key passive to massive amounts of damage. All right, so let's talk about gearing. We're gonna start with the helm here. Kyle the Nameless is pretty much best in slot for the particular build. It has 2 passives that just gives you insane amount of damage. I think we talked about this in the skills tab. So, and unstable elixirs is massive. Trick attacks is just the best passive you have. Actually want to crit and get as many master workings and greater affix on that if you can manage that. Now there are other alternatives to Kyle the Nameless. You can do the Crown of Lucian, and you can also do Shaco. Shaco actually feels really good in fluid because of the cooldown reduction. It just gives you a little bit of everything, but Kyle the Nameless is just one big damage helm. You don't even care about rapid gambits or the crowd control duration as much, nor do you really even care about the unique affix that much, either on this particular build or on barrage builds or most precision builds to begin with. It's just those 2 passes is just way too strong to not take. So now, if you want to be a little bit tankier, the Crown I would actually recommend over even the Shaco, because with the Crown we actually spend more energy, and spending more energy procs out second wind passive, as I was telling you about before. And the more we proc that, the more we have the barrier up, and you can kind of basically, I won't necessarily say face tank everything, but you won't be or feel as much like you're in danger as all. So let's actually show what that looks like. So with Kyle the Nameless, let's do just a quick rotation here to prop the barrier here. All right, so we have the barrier. Now it's off. Okay, now we have the barrier up. Barrier is off. Barrier is up. Okay, you get the point, right? It's like up maybe half the time, and that's only if you're consistently attacking, right? We swap to the Crown, and we do the same thing, and now let's build the Crown stacks up. As you can see, we have permanent uptime on the barrier, which is very nice. Now I got like 4 ranks to second wind on my pants, so that's why you're going to see a large barrier amount. Look at that. Like basically, it's like double. It's like more than my health. Having a really good barrier is going to keep you alive. So Crown is also a good option in case you don't, if you just want to be more tankier. Going on to the chest, we take Tyrio's Might. This really should be your first mythic unique. So if you're going to craft your first mythic unique, which is what most people end up doing, this is the one that you go for first. Okay, you want to master work on your damage reduction, and also try to get masterworks on the maximum resistance to all elements, which is also a lot of toughness too. I didn't get as lucky, but I came pretty close, as you see. Materials might, huge damage reduction. You definitely want to go for that. If you don't get it, go for a chest with Dark Shroud ranks like in the previous season. Stack as much of that as you possibly can. Coming back to the gloves, basically crit damage, rapid fire, ranks to rapid fire, temper crit damage. And here we actually either want smoke grenade duration or smoke grenade cooldown, whichever rolls for the most part, so we can get more uptime on your smoke grenade and also keep your damage going too. You also want to roll a new aspect that we have. It's called Cold Clip, which actually turns the basic attack into basically cold imbuement, which is what you were seeing earlier when I was shooting. So you see the little cold arrow here. I can actually freeze them now with my Heartseeker, so pretty cool. Coming down here to the pants, we want to try to get our armor because we don't have anywhere else to get it. So you want to make sure that you roll armor here, get some life, get some dodge, stun chance, temper, so that we can stagger the boss a little faster. And it's also very important that we take second win ranks here. So you want this. You really want this on the pants because it's going to scale and keep you alive when the barrier is up. And then we also take Umbras. Umbras is basically what procs your Dark Shroud. You don't see Dark Shroud on my bar, but with this, you get free Dark Shroud procs. Coming down to the boots, very important that you take attacks, reduce, evade, cooldown, because you're going to be evading after your rapid fire to cancel the animation when you're shooting. That's how we're not stuck in rapid fire for so long. Here, you also want either maximum life or dexterity. Movement speed is pretty important. I take dodge chance here because we don't really have a lot of dodge elsewhere, and we temper movement speed as well as a chance to daze because we want more utility to be able to stagger the bosses at some point. Then we take frostbitten on our boots here. I get a lot of questions about frostbitten all the time. You know, the first part of it is like, oh, you don't have any grenades. How are you freezing them? Why are you using this aspect? Well, you don't care about the first part of it, but you do care about the second part of it, which is you deal 24% more increased critical strike damage against frozen or stunned enemies. So if you notice, you do stun because you took the stun temper, right? Of course you did. So you took the stun temper, or you freeze them with cold imbuement. So therefore, you don't even need the first part of this aspect. You just need the second part to be able to get another multiplier that actually works for you. Going down to the Sky Hunter, basically self-explanatory. Sky Hunter is just really good. You want to masterwork the projectiles, the marksman projectiles, because it also helps your Heartseeker and be able to cast additional projectiles to do your 3-to-1 ratio and 2-to-1 ratio. We'll actually talk about that in a second, right after this. I want to show you guys something. But yeah, we want to masterwork that, and like probably the last one you hit is probably maybe critical strike damage. You don't want to masterwork the projectiles too much because we do have the Scoundrel's Kiss ring, and we do also get chance to for rapid fire projectiles to cast twice. So we don't want to go over 100 combining the two. So based on whatever you get to roll, you kind of have to finagle that, okay? And you also want a high roll on the unique affix. So let's talk about the 3-to-1 and 2-to-1 ratios here. So with Heartseeker, we don't really know why it works this way with Heartseeker, but apparently if you're within what Blizzard calls close range, okay, you actually can get 2 combo points per 1 shot of Heartseeker. So if you notice, I cast 1 shot, I get 2 points, cast again, I'm full with the combo points, right? So depending on how much critical strike chance you have, you can actually do 2-to-1 and also get your precision stacks here. As you see, there's only 3 right now, but you can get your precision stacks and your combo points stacks with just 2-to-1. So you can shoot 2, 1, 2, and then fire. And that time, as you saw, precision actually went off and you had the 3 combo points. You can do 2-to-1. So quite nice. It's actually mostly consistent, but as long as you're within what Blizzard calls close range. So this actually works. This far away works. But the moment that you get like maybe roughly around right here. Oh no, actually it works. That's still far enough. That's actually pretty good. But you step back just a little bit more. Sorry. And all of a sudden you only get 1 combo point now. So, which is, it's a bug. It is what it is. But hey, we take advantage of it. You know, we take advantage of it, and it's a win for us in Alpha upgrade. So, anyways, back to gear. We come down to the sword that we want in the slot. People keep asking me about the Umber Crux totem. It does not work well on rapid fire. It sucks on rapid fire. Don't use it. You use a regular sword, get crit damage, maximum life, dexterity, you know, the normal stats. Take Caltrap's duration or Caltrap size. It doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. I kind of wish I did size now that I've played this a bit more in the Inferno Hordes, but duration actually works too as well, so therefore you don't have to always continue to keep casting Caltraps all the time. But it's up to you. You want to masterwork your critical strike damage, and obviously temper that too. I probably should have said that first, right? But here we take the aspect of the expectant, so therefore we just get more multiplicative damage. Condemnation Dagger, super awesome too here as well. They buffed it this season. It's quite nice. I didn't really temper anything. I didn't masterwork what I really probably should have. I should masterwork the basic attack speed, but hey, this is how it worked out for me, so we took it. We also get a chance to proc vulnerable here, so those who are wondering, extra, you know, way of being able to proc vulnerable without needing anything. Get a high unique affix, you know the deal. We just talked about the Scoundrel's Kiss a little bit earlier. We got a chance to cast rapid fire projectiles twice. What you really want to masterwork here is rapid fire ranks. Get that as high as you possibly can, and of course a high unique affix. Coming into the ring, dex, attack speed, critical strike damage, temper, cold, imbue, cast. You want as many as you want. I won't necessarily say masterwork them all, but in my opinion, I think if you do like 1 masterwork on the cold imbue and then 2 on the critical strike damage, as you see here, it actually worked out for me this time. Yeah, right. I think it's nice because you do run through your cold imbuements quite quickly with rotations, especially 2-to-1 rotations if you choose to do that. So you do want a little bit of masterworking on that, masterwork critics on that. So as you see, I have the repeating aspect on here, and people have asked me about that. It's like, why are you running repeating when you got the Scoundrel? Well, they actually did fix the repeating's accuracy of arrows whenever it hits with the Scoundrel's ring. So it actually does seek out targets, and it actually does do what it's supposed to now. So it's actually it works pretty well. And in the Inferno Hordes, because rapid fire's AoE isn't that big, you do want some sort of repeating arrows shooting out to try to like one-shot the things that are way away from the center of the Scoundrel's Kiss lob. So you do want to take this. You really do want to take this in Inferno Hordes. Of course, if you're bossing, don't, but Inferno Hordes, you're going to wish that you took this, okay? Coming back to the amulet here, typically speaking, you want Frigid Finesse, Weapon Mastery, Unstable Elixirs, Malice. There's several good passes you could take. Dex percent too as well is really nice. So there's quite a few choices. Exploit's actually okay, not the greatest, but that works. So you got a few choices that you can really take here. I wish we can do trick attacks on the amulet, but they won't let us, and it would have been really OP if they would have done so. Here we temper cold imbue cast because, you know, more cold imbue, you run out of that pretty quickly if you don't. And you want to masterwork crit as much of the Frigid Finesse as you possibly can, because that's where most of your damage is coming from. And here we actually put the Edge Masters on the amulet because you're basically at full energy almost the entire time anyways because of the Sky Hunter. So this works here. If you want to be able to get more repeating instead, and you want your rapid fires to hit just a little weaker, but you want more repeating arrows, you can actually switch to 2 here. This is pretty much up to you. Talking about gems here, I know you guys see here very quickly, you see Dex gems and you see an abysmal 16k life here. I promise you it worked. The footage you saw earlier is literally this setup of gear here with Dex gems and literally 16k life. Well, a little bit more than that because I had some elixirs or whatever like that. But yeah, I mean, base life 16k. You can do it as long as you got the barrier and you're pretty smart with it. If you feel like, okay, that's a bit too low, obviously go rubies. In the Maxwell Planner, I have rubies everywhere, like here, because it just makes more sense for those who want to be tankier. But once you get used to it, you know, and you become the rapid fire rogue that I know you can be, you know, you can kind of squeeze some dex gems in there, you know, really pop off your damage. Okay, because Terios Might also gives you resistance to all elements, you basically cap all of your resists super easily, as you can see here. So what you really want is skulls and all of your gear to be able to cap your armor. So with skulls, you basically cap your armor as long as you have one armor roll here and you masterwork your gear. Armor's capped, easy peasy. All right, so weapons here, we go for the crit damage gems, pretty obvious as you can tell, and that's pretty much about gearing. And last but not least, Paragon. So let's talk about Paragons, and well, briefly, very briefly. Is easier. It's much easier to look at it in the planner and things, but I'm gonna just give you a rundown real quick. Starting board, we take canny. We only max out all of our glyphs outside of the combat glyph to just enough to be able to get the bigger radius, because everything past that point in the primary is just additive damage. Is not worth going to max out it's not worth maxing out every glyph anymore like in the past. All you really want is a secondary and the range, and that's it. So candy here in this board, we come up to this board here, which is exploit weakness. We come here and we put the combat glyph here. It's easy to kind of get quite a few points in the tail, and this is the only glyph that you will actually choose to max out, because crit damage actually scales with your key passive. Therefore, you're getting a multiplicative value here, and it's the only glyph that you do so. So we take that. We also take the exploit weakness legendary node because it's multiplicative. We come out here to this board and we take fluidity glyph on the cheap shot board, and we come up here and we take the cheap shot legendary node. Now, before we go on, I know you see damage reduction is slow. It's kind of taken for both of these. If you're going with the slow cow traps, this is something that you do want to take, so you can have a slow and be able to get quite a bit of good damage reduction, especially in the Inferno Hordes, by just using cow traps and also slow reduction here. So make sure we do that. Then we come up here on the deadly ambush board. We take ambush, so we can do more damage whenever the enemies are in the trap. And we come down here to also do the same thing with deadly ambush, taking more damage here because the enemies are in the trap. It's also multiplicative. We also come down here to tricks to the trade, and we take the control glyph. Again, max it out only just to the secondary. Come down here, we take tricks to the trade legendary node, also multiplicative. For those who are confused about how to proc this, basically your dash is considered your cutthroat skill. So whenever you dash, you proc half of this. You don't even have to hit anything to be able to proc it. You just need to cast it. So that part's already covered. Your marksman skills are obviously your heart seeker and rapid fire. So super easy to be able to keep this up the majority of the time for just optimal damage. Now this here is something that I just chose to do, which is what makes me a little bit more glassy. I chose to kind of take the crit damage here with havoc and things. Normally take these points and put them into life here. So like for instance, you take poison resilience to get a little bit of maximum life. Also, you normally would take shadow resilience too for also a little bit more life. You don't really care about the resistances because you have Terios Might, but you come here to take the extra maximum life, which is about 12%. So generally speaking, if you're gonna go the more damage route here, you would kind of skip the 12% and take the crit damage, but I don't advise you to do that until you know how your rogue feels in T7 and T8 Inferno Hordes. So up to you. That's your mileage. You do whatever feels good for you. And that's it. So this is going to be the first of quite a few guys I'm going to be doing this season. I need to replace some of the old video guys and the actual written guys themselves. So rapid fire is first because it's my favorite build to play. So hope you enjoy this as much as I'm enjoying it this season. As always, Till next time.